my goodness, no!
He's amazing.
That's amazing.
So I'm so excited today because I get to talk to my really good friend, Josh Dela Cruz. Everyone knows who he is from our Josh and Blues Clues, and I love him so much. And he is going to talk to me a little bit about life clues and how much what we've done and what we still try to do in Blues Clues informs all of the clues that we still think that not only kids need, but that adults can use.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
I'm so excited to see you. You look awesome.
Thank you. So do you. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you. We're very excited. I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit more about you and your background, because you being the amazing Aladdin on Broadway was what you were doing literally right before Blues Clues, yes?
Yeah. It's going to be the show's 10-year anniversary on Broadway next month, which is wild. I was in my fourth year with the show, and I loved my job, but there was something that was missing, and I didn't really notice that there was something missing until one of my best friends moved on and started teaching. He teaches at university now, and I found myself getting a little bit grumpier rather.
I don't even know if I can picture you grumpy, to be honest.
If you ask like people around me when I'm hangry, then you'll be like, oh, okay, I can understand.
That's why they call you Snacks?
Yeah, that's exactly like I literally just finished a pint of ice cream. I was like, I have time. So I was like, all right, well, start looking for work. I went out and I got a new agent, and they sent me an audition for Blues Clues. And I remember thinking like, oh, the show's coming back. It's amazing. I remember my little sister. She had a stuffed blue, and she just wanted a handy dandy notebook. We would watch the show in my aunt's bedroom because that was the only room in the house that had cable back in the 90s. And so like Saturday morning when we would sleep over, like my mom was working overtime, my dad was running errands, like we would sit in my aunt's bed or me on the floor, depending on the comfortability, and we would watch Blues Clues for hours. And so I had such great memories about the show and about Steve and just how relaxing it is, because they're not trying to grab you, they're just trying to pay attention to you, which is such a flip from everything that I've seen growing up, and where they're just really trying to throw as much at you as possible to keep your attention instead of engage you. And it got around that I was auditioning for Blues Clues, and then all of a sudden somebody started singing mail time, mail time, mail time, mail time, mail time, and then everybody sang the mail song, and everyone, literally everyone. And we have the age range is so wide. So people that either watched the show as kids or were babysitters or were aunts and uncles just started singing. And so much so, I remember we got an announcement from our stage manager because we're directly under the stage during the show. It's like, it's quiet in the bunker. I remember thinking, oh man, this show means so much to so many people, not just me, not really understanding the scope, how many people have seen this show, and it's so important to them.
This is like, just shows how talented you are. Someone who is a leading man, can sing, can act, can dance, can also be in front of this entire live audience as you are Aladdin. But you said one of the first times that you went up to do it, they just put you in there.
Oh, yeah. The first time that I ever went on for Aladdin, we opened in March. We had just closed in our Toronto run just after the New Year, and we had a month off, followed by a month of rehearsal, and then we had 2 weeks of tech, and then we opened the show. I went on for my ensemble track, and then I think a few days later, I got a call come to the stage manager's office. And
Hello?
They were like, there's a strong possibility that you're going to be going on for Adam today, who's playing Aladdin. And I said, okay, great. I had been looking at everything. I had taken notes. Like while I was watching my ensemble track, I was taking copious notes of everything that he was doing. I was rehearsing. I was rehearsing with my offstage swing and understudy Lauren Chardulo backstage, like just trying to get everything down because it could happen in a drop of a hat. And then all of a sudden, the phone rings like 15 minutes before rehearsal starts, and they're like, "Is Josh there?" And I pick up the phone and it's the stage manager, and he says everybody from the cast is coming in to work after having opened the show. I will be doing the entire show from beginning to end. I'm getting like nervous about it now, thinking of
Like it's
how
making me nervous.
you're jumping off of buildings, you're like doing very light, not I wouldn't call it parkour, but for me as somebody that trips walking down the sidewalk, like I'm gonna say it's parkour. There's a lot of choreography, there are a lot of moving parts and literal bodies and songs and things. And I went on that night. I went on the entire weekend. And by the end of that entire weekend, I had done Aladdin, the part of Aladdin, more than I had done my ensemble track. And I remember thinking, wow, what better way to do it than to do it this way, just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off. And it really showed me that, you can do anything. You just kind of have to, like our show says, take things one step at a time and breathe through it. And your mentor, like look for the helpers. There were so many helpers there that day in the cast, in on the crew. There's a saying called "shove with love" that you say, when you go on for the first time. You're like, hey, if I get things wrong, I'm so sorry, but shove with love. Like, I won't take it personally if you shove me to where I'm supposed to be. It's a memory that I'll never forget, and I'll be so grateful for it because it just showed me what is possible, and that I'm capable of so much more. And then as soon as I got pushed out and fell, like the ball was rolling, it felt like I was sitting on top of a train that could not stop and branches were hitting me in the face, but you just had to keep going. And then I remembered to play. I think about that all the time because when I fast forward to being on set, I remember for Blue's Clues, I remember feel like I was like white knuckling the entire time, really trying to make things happen. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to see Donovan and Steve um, work together. And I was watching the monitor and they were just playing. And I remember thinking, oh, you know how to play? Like, just do that. And everything is so much easier. And, so much of this book is about accessing that childhood and that wonder of a child and the behavior of a child, that curiosity. And there's no way that I would be successful on Broadway, and there's definitely no way I'd be successful in the role of a child that isn't afraid to ask for help.
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, you love it too. Like I can see you like beaming from stage. Like that was actually one of the things that you did do is your management company said to us, come and watch him be Aladdin.
I couldn't believe it was happening.
The way that you could command that stage and that presence is just like, it's exhilarating. Like I forget about the nerves and everything that you must have had because you just look like you're born to do that. It was just like, oh my God. Like, we knew you were a star in the room. Like when you're doing Blue's Clues, like you knew it, you could see it. And then being invited to come watch you do that was like a whole other thing. I was like, I saw the movie that we were going to do. I saw the Macy's Day Parade. I was like, oh my God, this is everything. The other thing during your audition that we saw was your proposal video.
My goodness.
So I know it's just one of my favorite love stories of all time. Can you just share that a little bit?
So Amanda and I met at school.
Because you were both studying, you were both in theater, literally, right?
Yeah.
So you would have all of those classes, dance,
Yeah.
acting, singing, everything.
Yeah, so I started really dancing in college. I fell in love with it. I'm in the mall, Bergen Mall, if you remember that, Angela. And all of a sudden I get a phone call and I'm like, Amanda. I remember getting like flustered. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Carlos got a gig, booked a summer stock job, and so he's not going to be available to film. And would I dance with her? And I said, yeah, of course. After every rehearsal, we became better and better friends. And all of a sudden, we're on our first date and we never finished that dance reel. So fast forward, I'm like, all right, I'm going to marry this woman. Like, I want there to be pictures and I want there to be video, but like, as she kind of figured out, like, this is the time. So I was like, oh, great. I'll say that we're doing a dance reel for me. I went to Kobayaki with my buddies, Donald Jones Jr. and Angelo Soriano. So sidebar, Donald choreographed the Halloween dance. Donald choreographed the Macy's Day Parade, the first and the second time we did it. Donald has choreographed a ton. He's based out of Louisiana now. And Angelo is Angelo from Miss Rachel.
Donald also choreographed all of the dancing for Dee and Friends and Oz that is premiering on Netflix.
Really?
You didn't know that?
Oh my goodness, no!
He's amazing.
Get it, Donald. So we had a meeting and we're like, okay, great. This is what we're going to do. And so we had rehearsals with Amanda. Donald choreographed this beautiful piece, and then we planned it out. We start at Riverside, then we move from there, and then we were in Central Park the rest of the day. Bethesda Fountain is the final piece. And so how we choreographed it was that we were like, okay, once we get the final shot and everything looks good, Donald and Angela are going to confirm, and then they're going to turn to me and they're going to be like, one for luck. And Donald slips me the ring in my hand. I put it in my back pocket. And the last move is we're supposed to do a turn and then end in this pose. But instead, Amanda's the only person turning. And when she turns around, I'm on my knee. And so we filmed that at Bethesda Fountain. There was somebody like blowing bubbles that entire time. And it was like just so beautiful. And it's so special to us. And yeah.
As if you can love him more, I need you to watch this video. And we were just like, just in tears. I love that story so much.
Thank you.
And she said yes.
Well, she said no. Yes, said yes. And we've been married for 7 years now.
Back to the audition.
Yes.
So we had gotten thousands of people. So the first audition, we would get, your headshot. I know exactly what you were wearing with your long sleeve t-shirt. Burgundy, I think. I remember because I was sharing all the auditions with Hope and Ella, and Hope being, drama at Tish, and Ella, like both being so involved. And they picked you out of everybody. This is early. This is like, and they were like, Josh. And of course, the idea that like you did Broadway in New York, like we knew that you had the, all of the talent that you need. Because again, like the idea of a host is so deceiving, right? Because for Blue's Clues, you're shooting, it's just you in every single shot. 12-hour days or more. And therefore, like, there's just a lot that has to go into it. And do you remember the audition when you came in with Jonathan and you did that?
Oh, yes. So like it was the first screen test. And I do remember like hearing you say, because I wore a blue t-shirt, you turned to Tracy, I think, and you went, he's wearing blue. And I was like, oh, thank God I wore this t-shirt then.
That's a clue.
Because blue is like my favorite color. I had that, and then I found out like, hey, you did great. They're gonna bring you in for a screen test. Like, this is really, really great, Josh. And so I go in. It's the first time that I've ever done anything like this, and did my makeup. I was given a blue t-shirt. I was like, oh, okay, so that was the right color. Awesome. I had my guitar, had my screen test. I knew that people were behind the black drapes, but I just didn't know who was back there. I figured like, oh, well, of course producers are there or whatever. And so JJ is like, gave me some notes, and it's like, oh, Steve, do you have anything for Josh? And then emerging from the curtains is Steve Burns, and it's like, Steve, this is Josh. Josh, this is Steve. And I'm like, oh, hi. And then I realized, oh, hi. I was like, oh, wow, what are you doing here? I got so nervous because it's Steve. He created this job and why it was so successful. And then as soon as he opened his mouth, and I felt immediately like empowered, like I belonged, and so calming. He's like, he does so much voiceover that his voice that he speaks with on a regular basis is quite deep. There's a lot of depth in his chest. And I wasn't expecting that, but it was just so disarming, and I just felt so comfortable. Did that. Left. I remember feeling good about it.
That was the day also that you came in and we did the interview portion, as if this was Miss America. You did the interview portion of the audition. Do you remember?
What about that? Yeah.
It was like as if we dreamt you up. Like the way you were talking about your experiences with Blue's Clues, what you understood about it, or like what you respected about the show, which was just like so beautiful and very specific, like some of those moments that you were talking about with Steve talking to camera, and then the way in which you were absorbing that as a kid, or with through your sister.
The show, I think what's amazing about what you have done in all of your shows is that you empower kids, but that will translate into adulthood. Like, there are so many instances where kids are just supposed to be quiet, and there's always a time and a place, as we all learn. But for me, I'm very much introverted. Once you get me going, that's a different story. But I'm very shy, and I'm an introvert, and I was feeling out of place growing up, and Steve and the show really helped me figure out my voice and figure out things that I like, and figure out that I like to think and be a thoughtful person, and to really like just do nothing but like daydream a little bit about anything and try and figure things out. And I think that was the biggest gift, was that like I wasn't afraid to enjoy figuring things out. It wasn't so much focused on solving the mystery at the end of the show. It was the joy of figuring things out and the process of that. And I feel like I'm so much better because of it.
After that audition, it was JJ, Jonathan Judge, who was our original director from Blue's Clues, who now does all the primetime shows and does all that. He came back to help us. Steve was there, obviously me and Tracy, and it was unanimous. Like, I know we've probably told you this already, but it was like one of those, like, okay, everybody vote, like, what do we think? And it was just like, boom, 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 unanimous. And so you got the call and you were excited?
Excited is, that is an understatement.
When was the first time that you realized the impact you were making on kids?
I remember, but I got a few texts from friends or friends of friends saying that my kid pointed to the screen and said, he looks like me. And I got a lot of credit because they're like, thank you for representing. And I'm just trying to do my best, right? But at the end of the day, people have to trust you to do that job and take a risk on you. And you and Tracy and Sarah and Danielle and the entire team took that risk with me. And so I'm so thankful for it. And there's no way that I can accept all the credit for that.
Well, I love so much that's the case. And then also the stories that you wanted to tell, and the way that we brought the culture into the show. And
I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, I remember Siobhan coming up to me and she was like, I can't wait to tell you. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, you're getting a Lola this season. I'm like, what did you say? And the fact that we're baking something. Kids have that memory of baking with their grandmother. To have that, to share my culture, and to have people know what Lola is. It was my heart was so full.
Lola is so loved and has so many fans. I just want to end with my favorite moment of you from the movie, jumping on taxis and singing and dancing for the movie Blue's Big City Adventure on Paramount Plus.
That's right, streaming. It's also available on DVD. If you don't have a Paramount subscription, that's okay. You can get it on DVD.
It's really, really good. And Josh sings and dances the entire time. And the first shot we did was jumping on the taxis and singing On My Way.
Yeah, you're so right. It was just outside of Grand Central Station. We were nominated for an Emmy for Best Choreography, so check it out. Lindsay and Craig nailed it. The music is incredible. Like, I get to work with some of the best dancers I've ever seen in my life. Like, dance with them, and they're so wonderful. And like, we were blessed with such a great production team.
I know, 100%. But those dancers, they are, I know you said it, but they're phenomenal. And dancing on top of the taxis, but then also down the stairs in Central Park, like over and over and over again in like 110-degree weather in August in New York City. But like, amazing, ridiculous.
Again, they are so good. They not only shine themselves, but they make you look good. I fell in love with it. Like, I literally was obsessed with being on location because of that movie. And you made that dream come true.
I feel like when you had that dream, I must have had it at the exact same time, where it's like, it's like some sort of magic went
Both
through.
of our first jobs were at Paramus Park Mall.
Yeah, I mean, so, there's that connection, 100%.
Take care. Love you. Bye, Greg. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Love you. Say hi to Amanda. Give her a hug.
I will.